Hey everyone, I'm Mustafa. I'm the sales manager at Walser Polar Mazda, and today we're going to talk about Black History Month. Today, I'm talking to Anthony Johnson, better known as AJ. AJ is an account executive at Walser Super Burnsville. If you know one thing about AJ, you know he's an amazing salesman and super involved in his community. Let's get into it. AJ, it's nice to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, man, definitely nice to see you.
Absolutely. How you been?
I've been good. No complaints at all. No complaints at all.
A lot of people, they don't know, we actually go way back.
Yeah, that's
Go
right.
all the way back to LA Fitness,
Yeah.
gym sales days.
Yeah.
And what's funny is you actually hired me as well, too.
So the interesting thing about that is, years ago, that was the main field that I was in. So when I interviewed you, I knew you'd be successful. But then seeing you again here is kind of strange because at first I saw you, I was like, wait a minute, I remember that kid because I hired a lot of people. And turns out you were the same guy, and see your success is pretty cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I enjoyed it working at LA Fitness for a minute. I learned a lot that I use now because overcoming objections is very tough, and you learn the most objections when you're at a place like LA Fitness because you're basically selling a dream to somebody. It's not tangible. Here, I'm selling you a car. It's something I can put you in, you can see yourself driving it, and you drive off the lot and it's cool. So I learned a lot doing that, even though I didn't like the job that much, and I actually really enjoy what I'm doing now. Also, I believe that if you enjoy what you do, it's easier to make a sale. So it's nice to see you again too.
Yeah,
man.
good to see you as well. And, with your success in LA Fitness and you bringing all your sales skills over to here, being an account executive, how have you been able to keep up such a high standard with all the sales?
Honestly, I think it's all the same. I truly enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
So I've been with Walser for about almost 8 years, and I became an account exec kind of right away.
Oh, that's
So
very impressive.
Ellie and Charlie, they approached me many years ago and asked which direction I wanted to go. They wanted to know if I wanted to be in management or be an AE. And at the time, I'd only always managed. And I guess it was an opportunity for me to do something different that I never really thought of before. I'm not opposed to management, but once I noticed the freedoms that I have as an account exec, and I can kind of do my deal and be self-sufficient, only responsible for myself pretty much. And I'm a team player, so I like helping out everybody as well. So it kind of puts two and two together. I can still help out some of the team as a manager would do. But in regards to maintaining, to be honest with you, once again, I keep coming back to this. It's more about I actually like what I do. And I know that seems strange because I tell my friends sometimes, they're like, dude, you actually are going to work again. You're off today. But I actually enjoy it. I enjoy the environment. I enjoy the people that I'm around. I enjoy what I do, which makes it easy. I've worked those types of jobs where I had to punch a clock. I worked those jobs. I had 2 15-minute breaks. You had to ask for a bathroom break. You had to do all these things, which you don't have to do any of these here. So I think it helps with the fact that I've had those jobs that I hated. So you come to a job like this and you're like, okay, this is actually work. Well, it doesn't feel like work to me because I actually really enjoy it. So that helps me maintain, so the numbers, I know what my goal is every month. So I just work hard enough to be able to maintain and supersede that goal typically monthly. So
For sure. And being an account executive, I know there's a lot of hours you got to put in, just like you mentioned, and you're always working on your skills. How are you able to balance both being, a top performer in your job and then being able to go home as well too and have time for your family?
Well, that's interesting because when Ellie approached me and asked me which one I wanted to do, I said I would do the AE, but if I can do it based on a normal type schedule. So I actually don't work as much as some do, but I try and be very efficient when I'm here. So when I'm here, I'm not one of the guys that's just like walking around doing nothing. I'm literally always in my pipeline. I'm typically trust me, I'm still the clown. So I'm around, I'm doing those things too.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when I'm here, I'm working. Because I do like to get home. I'm newly engaged. Well, it's been about a year now, but I'm engaged. We have a blended family, so I have grandkids. I spend a lot of time with my family. I don't let anything take away from that. Because my past history at the prior jobs, it was all about the job. They wouldn't allow for us to have family time, really, because I was always working. That's another thing I appreciate here. The fact that this company is very family oriented, and I really enjoy that. So asking me the question about the balance, I make the balance easy and I make it work because I make my time here efficient. I don't waste time because I want to get here, do what I have to do so that I can be home. So it works out pretty well for me. So I've been able to maintain that for, like I said, 7+ years. So
Wow.
yeah, it works out pretty well.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you ever miss being in the management role at all?
I miss parts of it. I miss parts of it. I plan on retiring with Walzer, so I won't tell my age, but let's just say I'm not as far away from that as you might think. But I think if I ever get to the point to where I'm tired of running around in and out doing the actual sales things, I would end up doing management, because I do still like it. This was just an opportunity that I didn't even know the company offered. I didn't really know. I didn't come here thinking, I'll become an account exec. I didn't even know what it meant until it was explained to me. So to me, it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. Like I said, but yeah, there's definitely aspects because I like to see people progress. In my last job, as an example, a lot of the people that I hired and trained till this day are either managers somewhere or still thank me for how I helped them succeed and those types of things. Even yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
people that I hired that I now can look back on and say, wow, look at what they've done. I like that part of the management. So I do miss that from time to time.
So, obviously this month is Black History Month. What does Black History Month mean to AJ?
It's a very good question. So my family, I wouldn't use the word unique, but my family is big in community. Therefore, I've also been big in the community. When all the riots and marching and everything was happening a few years back, I was heavily involved. I was one of the guys down there marching as well. It's a cause that I think needs to be fought. So Black History Month is huge for me. I think that the focus on Black history and people learning some of the things that then they may not already know is really important. I think education's everything, so I think that honestly being Black, and I'm proud to be Black, I don't sugarcoat that at all. I enjoy, once again, that my peers, sometimes if they don't know something, they will ask me. Once again, knowing that I'm going to give them a truth answer, but those are conversations that I think if we have more of in the world, it's just going to help. I think by segregating things and people not talking about certain things, that what keeps things suppressed and hidden and all those types of things. So I think it's a month that we really can focus on things. One thing I'm just going to say, and I know I'm switching subjects really quick.
No, please.
So someone had asked me before, they were like, well, someone was talking about reparations, and people were like, well, why do you think that Black people should be given money?
This is a really good topic. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I tried to give them an example, and my example was, and I know there's other examples that are similar, but for instance, my people were not given the exact same opportunities 2 or 3 generations ago, meaning we were not able to get land, we were not able to get loans, we were not able to do certain things, which I can now pass down to my kids. So it's interesting because now working here, I see so many people, and I say this to my friends, you have no idea how many people can come in and just pay cash for a car. When I say that to them, their eyes are like, what are you talking about, they pay cash? Because unfortunately, from where I'm from, that's just not a thing that you're able to do. So sometimes I have a conversation with a customer and they'll say, oh, my grandmother gave me this money, or my mother passes down to me. And unfortunately, I don't hear that a lot in our community because we were not given opportunities to where we had wealth that we could pass down. That's where reparations comes from. We were not able to now have a house or houses or even businesses. My grandfather owned a dry cleaners in downtown Minneapolis. He was one of the first minority business owners in Minneapolis. It was called Deluxe Cleaning. He had such a hard time not only maintaining it, but doing anything else because they would not give him loans. They would not help him. He eventually went out of business, unfortunately, but we were not even able to, other than rent, we were really redlined. Truthfully, the houses that they would allow for us to buy were only in certain areas that they put us all in.
Absolutely.
In those areas, there typically weren't banks. There weren't other things that would also help us to get opportunities. You would go into a bank, and if you got approved for a loan, your interest rate, even if you had decent credit, your interest rate is almost double or triple than a white person that would go into a bank. This is a true story. This is not something that's made up. It's proven. So now you have this person that's trying to purchase a home. Their mortgage payment is literally almost triple what this other person's mortgage payment is. And that's just not fair. But that's the way certain people have started off with a head start, and a lot of minorities did not. So now my mother, using my own example, My mother does not have an inheritance. Not that I would need it or look forward to it, but we have these conversations, and she actually breaks down. She's like, I apologize. I wasn't able to really save anything for you guys, so on and so forth. Whereas because nothing was passed down to her and nothing was passed down to my grandfather, because there literally was just nothing. So I know I kind of went around a little bit, but that's why it's important to me, because I think these are the types of conversations that people can have.
Absolutely.
No one's asking for handouts necessarily.
Absolutely.
It's more of having the same opportunities. If I go into the same bank that you go into, it shouldn't be more difficult for me, not you necessarily, but a Caucasian person will go into. It shouldn't be more difficult for me to get approved if we have similar credit. They actually did a study where they did that. They would send two people in, one white, very same credit category as the minority person. The minority person ended up having to meet with multiple managers, meeting with all these other people before they would even approve or issue him money. And that's the part where we're still struggling with those things, and it shouldn't be. So the ground is not equal. So once again, getting back to Black History, I think it's a month that if people could focus, we need more than just 1 month. It should be a lifestyle. But because we are given this month, I think it's something that we should focus on those types of things, and people having an open ear to the fact that these are truly things that are happening. Is that one person is actually behind the other person based on things that happened to their families in the past.
And you brought up a really good point when you're talking about a employee coming up to you or coworker coming up to you and you not sugarcoating anything or being able to answer questions.
Right.
That brings us back to the summer where, the George Floyd situation happened, where we actually had the courageous conversations at the Mammoth Way. And that was a really big event to me personally, just because it was your company bringing forth an issue that was important to you and specifically people like you. And other people coming up to the mic and just speaking on, hey, I really didn't know this. I really didn't know that. And having an open ear to folks like us and saying, hey, this is what it really is. And then also having the webinar as well, too, where we were able to speak openly and have those open conversations. And I think after that, other coworkers were, they were able to come up to me and say, hey, is this okay to say this?
Exactly.
No, it's not. And then just giving them the reason back. But obviously, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking thing at first. But if you make something easy for somebody, you can educate so many other people.
Well, I think what happens is so many people have had questions for so long, they didn't feel comfortable. And I think what the George Floyd situation did, it opened up a lot of dialogue. And the dialogue is becoming easier, because I prefer you not talk to that person and wonder about what I'm dealing with or going through. I prefer you just come talk to me.
Absolutely.
You're not hurting my feelings at all. I think that unfortunately we're just so scared to have these types of conversations because maybe someone's feelings are going to be hurt, but it's my truth, right? And the biggest problem that I've had in the past is when I've had people challenge my truth. I've said this story before. I'm a constant reminder of someone to lock their door. Right? So I'm walking in or out of a Target and I realize this person sees me and all of a sudden they remember, oh, I should lock my door. They're almost in Target. They walk the entire way not thinking about locking their car. It's something minor like that I pay attention to, that someone says, well, no, they were going to lock the door anyway. No, they almost made it inside the store, didn't even think about it. They see me, they instantly do the whole lock thing. That may seem small to someone when I'm walking past someone and they clench their purse. It's things that I have to live with daily. It's things that I have to live with, and it's frustrating, and so then when we have those types of conversations and someone says, well, no, they're just, no, that's not really a thing. Well, no, it is a thing. So if we're going to have this conversation, trust what I'm saying to you, that you don't experience it, so you don't think it's a thing. It's not a thing to you.
It's not your reality.
It's not your reality. My reality, and I know it might seem small to people, but it affects my daily walk. Because I'm a constant reminder of you think I'm going to do something to you, and I could care less. I'm just going to the same Target as you are. So it's things like that if society can ever get to the point to where we really are treated equal. Once again, there was also another study. Yeah, I'm a study guy, right?
Okay.
So years ago, they had to kind of change how news was broadcast, because they would always use, and they still sometimes do, there was a black gentleman, there was a da-da-da-da-da. Almost every single negative thing, they would always bring up the race. So almost every negative report, now people that don't really know me as a black person, they only know of what they've heard about on the news, And every time it's something bad, they specifically would make sure they mention a young African American.
Yeah.
So now you, who don't live by any African Americans, when you see me, you think I'm that news, what you heard on the news. I shot somebody and robbed somebody and did something to somebody. You know, you can't put everybody in all categories, because if we're being truthful, most crimes are not committed by Black people. It's just in the news more, you know, that we're not the population that could do that many crimes. You know, it's just mainly focused on us, unfortunately. So they made the newscasters kind of try and die that down a little bit years ago. So,
I guess during Black History Month, or even any time at all, what do you do outside of work for your community? I know you're pretty heavily involved.
Right. So right now, what I'm dealing with is my grandkids, right? And teaching them, you know, other than Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, some of the things we all know, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm just teaching them about some of the things we just talked about. You know, I'm teaching them about how we were not given a head start, and that I want something better for you. You know, their dialogue, I want to be different. I don't want them to seem like they're going without or doing without. So I actually have conversations, I've had them all my life, with all my kids. I'm very upfront and truthful with them. That, as an example, I have a daughter, she's 18, she just turned 18. She went to performance art school that primarily were white students. And one day, because she's now getting to the point to where she wants to date.
Okay.
So she met a guy, he was a white kid, right? And she said, well, Dad, when I met him, I had braids in. And then when we wanted to go hang out the next time, I had my natural hair, and he didn't act like he liked me anymore. So she was hurt by that. So I had to explain to her that, unfortunately, they just don't know, white people sometimes just don't know enough about us, and it threw them for a loop for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And I said, but you don't owe him any explanation. Be strong in who you are and wear it well. You know, because all of a sudden she wanted to be what she thought he wanted him to be. She's like, well, can I get my hair done again? I said, no, just be you.
Yeah.
You know, if someone likes you the way that they are, but know that if you're going to date someone outside of your race, that's okay with it. But just know there's going to be some differences.
Yeah.
If you end up possibly meeting their parents, just know there's something's possibly going to come with that, because they don't understand it. So have truth conversations with him. You know, and that's all you can do. You can always just be truthful in everything that you do. But that just actually happened not too long ago. So that's why it just came to my mind.
All right, AJ. So, you know, there's going to be many other videos that's going to go out this month between me and you and some other employees and companies as well, too. So with all these videos going out, obviously everyone in the company is going to be watching these. You know, hopefully there's going to be some takeaways from that. After our video, what would you want somebody to take away from this?
Well, one thing I would say is that I really do truly appreciate this, and they're not paying me to say this, by the way. No, but I really do appreciate a company that focuses on this, right? Because you can live all your life and be able with companies that could care less. They don't show any focus towards it, and I do appreciate that. Since the George Floyd incident up until now, there's been a major focus on that. So that's one takeaway I do want to see, or say that even for new employees, that they can see that there is a focus on minorities and those types of things. I think that's important. In regards to just being open to conversations, I can't say that enough. I think that's the biggest thing, to be honest with you, that's going to change the world, is having tough conversations. Having tough conversations is one of those things that when you're about to go approach somebody, knowing that the answer might not be what you want to hear, and still having that conversation. If we don't do that, right, and if I'm constantly in my own head about how I feel about you and what you could possibly be going through in your life, we're never going to get any better. You know, so if we're having conversations, just be open. Don't get easily offended, because once again, I'm not going to sugarcoat my answers. My answers are not intended to try and hurt you, but if you're asking me a question, I'm going to tell you. And lastly, if I say something to you, though, I'm never going to make anything up to make you feel like, oh, he really dealt with that. No, this is my reality, you know, so don't question my reality. You can challenge it if you want, but you're going to lose, because my reality is my reality. You know, you don't know how to be me. You know, once again, if you were to be able to switch places with the Black person, 9 times out of 10, you may say yes, but you don't really mean that. Because if I tell you you're going to switch with me and you have to deal with everything that I deal with, then I believe that you know what I deal with. Because I think you're going to start thinking, oh, do I really want to have to deal with all that?
Exactly.
You know, and I think that if people look at it that way, that we truly do deal with things outside of here that you may or may not believe or may not see, just understand that. So if you ask me a question and I'm saying something to you, let's just have an open dialogue, and then you truly can ask me anything. That's the type of guy I am. I don't care what it is. You may think it's silly, and it's not. I prefer the conversation. And once again, I think in life, if we do that, we'll be better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk with me, man.
Not a problem.
I appreciate it.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
All right.